giving yourself some time to see what's the middle between no effort and effort, to doing without overly grasping, but still hanging in there. Something like alert, like there's a kind of alertness when we're frantic, right? Part of what happens when we're frantic and we're like, what they call in India rajistic mind. It's the mind that's active. There's a kind of alertness that comes with that. And then there's this other mind, or this other quality, tamasic mind, which is slow and drowsy, totally relaxed, but really kind of sloppy and not paying attention. And then they have the one in the middle, the balanced one, which is sattvic, right? Sattva, which is the quality of the rajistic mind, the agitated mind, of alertness, and the quality of deep relaxation and letting go that's in the tamasic, but not the stupor and not the agitation. So the stupor and the agitation, no, but the alertness that you would have if you were frightened, without any of the agitation, with the deep relaxation that you'd have if you were, just kind of very drunk or very stoned. It's like the very stoned, but with the alertness of the very sober. The alertness of the very sober with the relaxation of the very stoned. Something like that, or very drunk. It's this whole relaxation that you're present with, but you're just as alert as you would be if it was really. So
I think of a parallel of when I played piano from a very young age, and I practiced for hours every day. And then when I went to college, I got this really wonderful teacher, and she saw me play, and she said, "Well, the first thing you need to do is to stop doing scales every day." And I went, "What?" And but it was just, what happened is that by doing this and just kind of actually concentrating in a different way, my musculature relaxed, and ironically, my technique doubled in like 1 year, just because I was out of my way.
yeah. Well, sometimes you have to give yourself permission to just drop everything and see what happens. That's true. But it isn't a cookie cutter approach, as they say. It's not that one size fits all. But that can very often be, there's something about trust in being here, Andrew. There's definitely something I'm feeling that I need to say about trust in being. The whole idea of trusting that if you go astray in some way, that you will become clear about it. That you can trust your own process. At some level, it's deeply trusting yourself. And that's been forbidden, really. In some way, it's actually, in a roundabout way, it's actually trusting Buddha nature, or trusting that you are innately good and not perverse. What I mean by that is that if you give yourself enough room to not do a practice, or to do a practice, or whatever it is in your case, whatever it is, that you could say the common sense of being itself will kick in for you, and you'll go, oh, this is too much this way or that way. And you may have to go, it's not like immediate. You may go down some wrong paths in order to get sensitized to what it means to go down a wrong path. And now you are equipped with the clarity of, oh, that doesn't quite work for this reason. Trusting that entire process is trusting Padmasambhava. That's what it means. It's trusting the Holy Spirit. It's trusting your Yidam deity. It's trusting your holy guardian angel. It's trusting your higher self, whatever you want to say it, however you want to speak it. It's trusting that innately, all sentient beings, even you, want the best. So even when you're doing something that's off, it's because there's some part of you that feels this is the best I can do. This is good. At some level, even something bad is good. And trusting that eventually you'll get on the right path. But even that is not quite right, that language, get on the right path. You're always on the path to getting clearer and clearer. Beginning to trust that, you could say, I mean, from my money, this is actually what sacraments were supposed to be, initiations were supposed to be. It's a little bit of hocus pocus, but it's effective. It's sort of like we don't trust our being. And because we don't trust our being, we really do go in destructive cycles. If somebody says to us, from now on, you can trust your being because we just did this prayer, we just dunked you in water, or we just did this mark on your head, and everybody got together and chanted these words and this and that, and now you're in the good graces. And now, even if you go down the wrong path, Jesus will guide you, or Padmasambhava will guide you, or Tara will guide you, or your holy guardian angel will guide you, whatever. Being will do it for you. Now you have that trust, and that trust itself shifts the way in which you are framing everything that happens to you. And that reframe creates the result of learning from every so-called mistake. And now you're actually trusting that you can learn from every so-called mistake. And because there's a basic innate, and again, all of these words can be understood different ways, and I'm sorry, it's just the problem with language, really. But to really get that we're not perverse. And what I mean by that is that there's nothing wrong with you innately. So you will get clearer and clearer about what is helpful and what isn't. If you're given enough space, enough room, enough compassion, going down wrong paths teaches you, oh, that didn't work. And you start to go down right paths. But you have to give yourself that frame that you are already blessed, that you're now, you're now baptized. You're now initiated into this tantric community. You're now whatever, you're now in. And you can learn from whatever happens. Does that make sense? Andrew. Does that make sense? Yeah. You can trust your being. You can green light yourself to do where, you can give yourself big green light that whatever I do, my intention is there to become awake through this. So if it's relinquishing a practice so I can be free, that's going to work for me. And it might not work 100%. You might go, oh, I got to go back to that practice. That's good. It was meant to be. You were guided first to let it go, then to come back to it anew in a different way. And having that as your narrative, as the thing that you say to yourself. There's a way in which you have to kind of plant a stake in the ground. It's like being in the tundra and you can't see which side is where you are and what's going on, but you have a tent peg and you plant it in the ground and you put your yurt there and everything, now you are the center of the world. And you say, that's the north and that's the south and that's the east and that's the west. And you call on the deities of those directions to set up camp with you. So it isn't a matter of like, how do I know what's really this or that? It's a matter of you standing and calling on the powers that are there in the universe. I mean, at some level, you could say the highest power. You could say, when we call it God, or we call it consciousness itself, or we call it Shiva, or whatever we call it. You're at the mercy of that. I mean, we all are. So there has to be a trust there that, you know, I guess it's in the Quran. There's this saying that's repeated over and over again: lead us on right paths, not on wrong. That's the only prayer you need to have, really. Just lead me. And you say, well, what if I'm being led the wrong way and I'm not one of the chosen? There's no way out of that mind loop ever, except going, if I'm to be in the wrong, so be it. Being who is manifesting the universe, then that's your will, and that's what I will do. And by doing that, you are led on right paths, because that's humility. That's like surrender. But it's not a sloppy thing. It's that alertness mixed with the relaxation. It's like it's a relaxation knowing, no, but the alertness is, okay, I'm going to pay attention to what I'm actually feeling. This doesn't feel right. This feels right. This doesn't feel right. This feels right. What's actually happening? And what's the feedback I'm getting from the universe around me? Not individual people and their feelings about things or their opinions, but rather, even if you do hear their feelings about things, it's just more feedback from the whole universe. It's not like, oh, I got to do what my friend says. It's more, okay, it's input too. It's all input. So it comes down to more and more trust. Trust that fundamentally you want peace. That's just the way you're wired. There's nothing you can do about it. You want the good, whether you think you do or not. Even if you think you want, oh, but I want these bad things. Why do you want them? If you keep going underneath, oh, it's because I want love, at homeness, peace for myself. And even I think these things that are not skillful will give them to me. So what you really want is love, peace, at homeness by nature, whether you like it or not. Sorry, you're a Buddha, period. End of story. You are Shiva. That's life. But, you know, kind of the acknowledgement of that and the framing, you know, in the way that you understand things. That's the beauty of initiations. That's the beauty of ritual, or of baptisms, or of tantric initiations, or any of that stuff. Empowerments, mysteries. Okay? Thank you very much for that. I enjoyed that, Andrew.